gather in His presence. So let us thank the Lord for our fires, brothers. Thank the Lord wherever you are. Bless His holy name. Glorify His holy name. That the Lord has granted us even this very moment. Be this day. About these things, be able to offer properly to the great worship.
pray that you will speak through every person in this program and on the stage today, that your will be done, and that we would all leave here with something deposited in our lives that would help us to propel both our careers and our personal lives forwards. In Jesus' name, amen. Welcome, everyone, to the 7th edition of the Global Leadership Program. My name is Femi Olumoko. I serve as the Deputy Director of the Daniel Leadership Institute, which is the organization that houses the Global Leadership Program. We're extremely excited, really, to see everyone today and to have everyone back in a hybrid forum. Over the past few years, we've had to run this program virtually, and so we're really happy to be able to see faces in the building again. And so I just want to express that, but also definitely want to say welcome to our audience online. We have people joining us from Zoom, on YouTube. So we really, really appreciate you joining, and we're happy to have you part of this program. On each of your tables, you will find an agenda and a signing sheet. Please indulge us to please scan the code to complete. The signing is a very brief form. It takes just a minute or two. And also there's another code to scan to stay connected to DLI and all that we do. For our audience online, we will be sending the links through the chat as well. I want to take a minute to acknowledge some special people in our midst. We'll start with the senior pastor of JHDC, Pastor Olumide Gunjigbe. And JHDC is the church that houses DLI, and without JHDC, DLI wouldn't exist. So we really appreciate you joining us today. We also have the presence of our global mentors for 2024, Ms. Catherine Rock, Mr. Kunle Malamo. We're going to formally introduce them a little bit later, so I'll save it for then. And as many JHDC ministers that may be in here or online, we welcome you as well, GLI alums and DLI alums in general. Over the next couple of hours, you're going to hear a lot about DLI. You're going to be able to hear from some alums from GLP. You're also going to see the official 2024 Cohort B commission, so stay tuned. But without further ado, I want to call up someone who is special to DLI, and I'm going to read her bio. Ms. Tolu Peters is the director of the Daniel Leadership Institute. She is a senior human resources professional, a certified executive facilitator, leadership coach, and change management practitioner. As a minister, we affectionately call her PT. Ms. Peters is passionate about transformative growth and building leadership skills to successfully manage the impact of transitions in organizations and employee career journeys. So without further ado, Ms. Tolu Peters.
Thank you, Femi. Thank you and welcome, everyone. I find that I have to speak up because the air conditioning, I can hear that behind me. So welcome again. I'm so excited that, as Femi said, we can come in here and meet hybrid. Can we all say hello to those who are online? Hello, and I hope they're saying hello back to us. And I hope at some point we might be able to see the faces of some of them. That would really be great. So we know those who are watching us from different parts of the world. So I say good morning again, and I'd like to, as I said, acknowledge those who have put this together, those who have participated in years past, and those who are watching us online. And for you who are in person here, I say welcome again. So you have come today not just to participate in this program, but also to benefit from hearing a little bit of the strategic initiative of which Global Leadership Program comes out of. In fact, Daniel Leadership Institute comes out of. And you'll watch a video that will tell you a little bit more about that. But I just wanted to say quickly that the Daniel Leadership Institute was established in 2005 here in this church in Silver Spring, Maryland. And really the goal is to build and strengthen leadership capacity in professionals and other residents in the community, so that we sort of like continue to just give of what we have here in JesusHouse DC, and also to be more connected and plugged in with the community where we are. So the Daniel Leadership Institute is made up of 3 key programs. The first one is the Young Professionals Mentoring Program, and this is a 1-year program for professionals 0 to 3 years out of college. And here they're exposed to critical areas of leadership, including leading self, building purposeful careers, financial prudence, and also self-mastery. And these are 4 key areas that we have seen that helps to develop leaders as well. And leading this program today is Lakunle Labisekun. So, and he is an IT consultant, and he has a team of volunteers who work with him to make this possible for the young professionals. And I would just like to say that one of the things that impact that they have had really is working with small and medium sized organizations, identifying a problem and helping them to resolve it. And this was one of the things we did for the food bank in DC, and they were very, very appreciative. The second leadership program is the Community Leadership Program, and this, as the name suggests, welcomes residents, people who work around this area, and the program is really designed for them to acquire or strengthen basic skills like public speaking, like project management, and so on and so forth, PowerPoint presentations. And the intention really is to ensure that we're empowering as many people as we can, not just professionals in the corporate world, but people who are living around or working around us here. And this program is led by Shola Majalope, who is an entrepreneur himself and also in public service. So he has a team, and one of his team members is here, Anthony. We're very appreciative of all the work that the volunteers do to make sure that these programs come. And the Global Leadership Program, for which is why we are all here this morning, is a 6-month virtual mentoring program that matches managers aspiring to executive roles with C-suite global leaders. And we do this after a very rigorous selection process. So today we are matching, in fact, we have impacted 25 global leaders and 25 global mentees from about 15 nations across the world, thanks to COVID, that allowed us to go virtual and not just be an in-person program. We also have Michael, who you will hear from, Michael Adenuga, who leads this program, and he's a senior director at Capgemini. I hope I pronounced that well. Financial Services Consulting Group. So I would also like to recognize Femi, who started us off this morning. And Femi, as he said, is the Deputy Director for the Daniel Leadership Institute, and he's also a Senior Manager at, now I get it, Accenture. Thank you so much to all the volunteers who have not even been named, but who continue to pour into this program in addition to their day job because of their passion in leadership and the work that they see that needs to be done. I also want to say that, leadership is, the impact of leadership or lack thereof at both macro and micro levels are evident for us all to see across the world. Extreme poverty levels in some places, infrastructure decay, unpreparedness for climate change, and so on and so on. The list is like endless, And we have not lost hope because we know that there's a future that is before us that we can influence. And we have also seen that, the core of all what's going on really across the world is leadership, as I said, or lack thereof. So so the Daniel Leadership Institute, we're aiming to contribute to changing the course of this subpar leadership that exists all around us, not just at the macro level, but also at the micro level as well. And by starting to pour into professionals early in their career and letting them understand truly what leadership is about. And we do this with this big idea and dream that we called the Daniel Leadership Institute, to change the world. And really, it's to change our world, you know, one person at a time within our spheres of influence. So as we listen today, I just encourage you to be open and to just be in the space of what's possible, not where you are, but what is possible for your own leadership journey. And as you do so, I just pray that when you walk out this door, that you will be able to have a different or a new vision or an enhanced vision for your own leadership journey. We do have 4 fantastic global leaders, and we have 2 of them here who will be introduced shortly, and we have 2 who are watching us online. They're virtual, and we're very appreciative, thankful for their participation and also the value they're bringing in as leaders by giving back, you know, and that's really what it's all about, giving back. So I'll stop at this point and just welcome you again, and thank you so much for coming.
The Daniel Leadership Institute began in 2005 with the Young Professionals Mentoring Program, YMP. 6 years later, the Community Leadership Program was developed, and in 2017, DLI launched the Global Leadership Program, GLP. Our vision is to develop leaders. The Daniel Leadership Institute began in 2005 with the Young Professionals Mentoring Program, YMP. 6 years later, the Community Leadership Program was developed, and in 2017, DLI launched the Global Leadership Program, GLP. Our vision is to develop leaders that will influence the world. The core values that guide DLI are faith, integrity, reliability, and excellence. The Young Professionals Mentoring Program, YMP, is a year-long career and leadership development initiative designed to equip entry or mid-level career professionals or graduate students with the tools, skills, and resources they need to succeed in their personal, professional, and leadership endeavors. YMP achieves this goal by putting its fellows through powerful and innovative monthly workshops on relevant topics including networking, personal mastery, project management, entrepreneurship, and much more. Also, YMP fellows are paired with experienced mentors that are aligned to the fellows' field of interest. They put their learning into practice through community projects where they work with nonprofit organizations as consultants providing solutions to their most pressing challenges. Fellows who complete the program have gone on to secure management and executive leadership positions at various organizations, while others have enrolled in top graduate programs or pursued successful entrepreneurial endeavors. DLI's second program is the Community Leadership Program. This program equips members of the community with vital skills to create social change. CLP engages the community through programs such as the Daniel Leadership Toastmasters Club, annual speechcraft, collaborative workshops and seminars, and strategic support for other community organizations and volunteerism opportunities, including Montgomery County Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. CLP's flagship program, Daniel Leadership Toastmasters Club, is part of the Toastmasters International, a globally recognized public speaking and leadership development organization. DLTC members have attained various certifications in communication and leadership, including the highest honors, Distinguished Toastmaster, DTM. For 5 consecutive years, DLTC has maintained Perfect 10 Distinguished Club honors, the highest club recognition. The club continues to attract members of the community of diverse backgrounds to learn in a welcoming environment. The club is currently home to 3 district officials, including the district director who oversees over 5,000 Toastmasters in the DC metro area. In 2017, DLI launched the Global Leadership Program, which is a 6-month mentorship experience connecting mid-level professionals with global leaders all over the world who have achieved incredible success in their careers. The objective of this program is to provide mentees the opportunity to learn directly from world-class leaders about best practices for professional and personal success while gaining access to their network. GLP specifically targets professionals who have shown their capacity as change agents and leaders in their own right. Our global leaders include directors and CEOs of multinationals, high-ranking public officials, as well as experienced entrepreneurs who are making a difference in their fields. Over the course of the program, GLP participants build a strong relationship with their mentors, acquire new skills, confidence, and drive to realize their potential. For more information and to keep up with what DLI is doing, visit our website at www.danielleadershipinstitute.org.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Adenuga, and I lead the Global Leadership Program for DLI. Like you've watched or heard on the video, it's been 6 years that the GLP has been launched, and I'm personally grateful for the journey so far. When we started this program back then, the focus was more around the DMV community. And looking back now, and I'm sure the folks here can't really see people online, but we have people from all over the world now. And also the program has evolved. Frankly speaking, when we started, most of our global leaders are from Nigeria and West Africa. But what we have now is global leaders from, can somebody switch the slide, please? Is that we have global leaders from all over the place. I would like you to pay attention to GLP in numbers, and just to highlight how far that we've come over the past 6-7 years. Like you heard in the video, our target really is the global leaders, people that have established themselves as strong leaders within multinationals and large public offices globally. And as you can see here so far, we have about 25 people that have committed their time to actually impacting and mentoring young leaders. In terms of where our global leaders reside, like I said, we've moved from just being focused on Nigeria, West Africa, to actually having people from all over the place, including West Africa, Southern Africa, Europe, and of course here in North America. And also, if you look at the countries where our global mentees reside, it's the same story as well. We have people now applying for the program from all over the place. And I can say, if you see there, currently we have people that have been part of the program from 8 different countries. So, like I said earlier on, I'm particularly grateful for this because we're now moving closer to our vision to actually making this a truly global program. Like PT said earlier on that, thanks to COVID, that kind of expanded our vision that we don't have to be just solely focused within our comfort zone here, but we can actually expand this to other people. One of the things that I would also like to share with us today is to bring 2 alums of the Global Leadership Program on the stage to also share their experiences. So I would like to introduce and bring to the stage Mary Akinkugbe, who is the Managing Director at Ernst & Young, and Benga Lasisi, who is the Divisional Deputy Chief Information Security Officer at Capital One Bank. So, yeah, thank you. They've both been alums of the program in different capacity, and they are going to share with us what the experiences have been, having gone through the program, and the impact the program has made to them as they continue their leadership journey.
Thank you, Michael.
Good morning.
Hey, Mary.
You want to sit down? Let's stand
Sure,
up?
let's go for it.
Sure. Okay.
Let me get
may
this
have
out
to
of the
move
way.
this. Well, wow, Winga, it's been 6 years, 6 years, I think, since GLP kicked
Yeah,
off. I
yeah.
think you were there at the inaugural.
I was there at the inaugural,
Yeah.
and it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, this is the first time in 6, 7 years I will have seen in person.
Wow.
So it's, how have you been?
Good. COVID, you know.
COVID was COVID.
Yeah, COVID was COVID. Thank God we all got through it and are here. But it was a wonderful opportunity. I stayed involved in the program during then. I actually had a mentee
Oh, yeah.
maybe right around or right before then, which she was in the UK,
Nice.
which wouldn't have happened if not for COVID. So
I know.
some good things.
You were part of the first cohort.
I was, which was wonderful. It was such a great experience. You know, I feel like I've grown up in DLI, Daniel Leadership Institute in general. I think I've participated in just about almost all of the programs, starting from the teenage mentoring program and then growing into the young professional. Like, you're just coming up there. So it feels like home to me, and it's been a big part of my journey.
You literally kind of evolved through the entire program.
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, could you tell me about, what kind of inspired the journey into, the GLP program, and what has your story been since that time?
Yeah, so I think with GLP, once the applications came out, I knew I was going to apply. And I think that was just based on just my experience, again, having grown up in DLI, being both a mentee and mentor in various aspects of the program, and seeing how beneficial it had been for me. And I always have this desire to kind of like pay it back, pay it forward, lifting as we climb, and what else can we do? And we all have to do this together. And there's power in teaming and community. And that's why I think I've been so attracted to DLI and the programs that it offers, because that's really embedded in the thread of it. And so with GLP, I think I saw an opportunity for networking, for exposure to global leaders. I think I saw the list of the initial mentors. I was like, ooh, I'll take any of this, any of them. So I was very excited to just go through that process, go through the interview, get matched up, and be a part of the program. And my mentor, who I'm still connected with, and the world is so funny. My mentor was Toko Moyo, and she had just started a leadership position at Harvard University. And like a year or two after she mentored me, my brother went to Harvard, and
wow.
they met.
Wow.
I was like, small world, who would have
know.
thought? So we've stayed connected since then.
Nice. I think for me it was, by the way, we were in YMP together, same cohort, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when the GLP application came out, the first iteration, I applied. I didn't make it into the program. That shows how competitive it was. I was like, I felt a little slight. I was like, how come I did not make it into the program? So the next year, I was contemplating whether to not apply or not, but I was at a career inflection point. At the time, I was with PwC. I was already a director. I was dealing with a lot. I wanted to make a pivot. I was dealing, most importantly, with imposter syndrome. I felt like, is this a max? I felt like there was no one else who was going to pay me higher than I was handing that. I already kind of peaked. I looked at the partner route. I was like, no, that's not for me. So I was caught between staying at PwC and doing the partner journey, because I looked at the lifestyles of all the partners. Like, I don't want to be like this. I want to be someone else. So and I was struggling with, like, PwC was doing me a favor. Right, so I should just bury my head and stay there. And I was like, you know what? Let me give GLP a try. Chidi Opara was on the list of the mentors there, and I read his profile. His journey felt like the journey that I wanted to take. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go for it this time. And trust me, that's the best decision of my professional life. I would have still been at PwC or just, made some kind of, interesting decision if I had not gone into the program. So that for me was really, really amazing. So, yeah, that's my story.
That's wonderful. I remember something about your story, because you did something very pivotal.
your commitment to the program was very impressive to me. And I remember you took, because your mentor was in another continent.
It was in Dubai. Yes, it was in UAE at the time.
And
Yeah.
do you remember what you did to really try to connect with your mentor?
Okay, yeah. So I got into the program, and I couldn't get a hold of my mentor. I remember sending an email to Pastor Tolu, to Michael. I'm like, I can't get a hold of this guy. I need him so bad. And, I sent an email because of the time zone. Is it he's sleeping or I am sleeping? And I was like, you know what? If it's not coming to me, I'm going to go to him. Bought a ticket, got on a plane to Dubai. I was like, I'm coming, sir. I promised to see you. And I think the following week was supposed to move to Kenya. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get you before you go to Kenya. And the key piece for me was that I wanted it that bad. I didn't want, I wasn't content with, the virtual interaction. It wasn't working for me, and I needed to see with someone. I'm glad I did. One of the things he told me was like, bring up before we meet, said, can you write your farewell message? I'm like, I'm not dying. Why would you ask me to write that? I was like, okay, let's switch it back. But I will tell you the context later. It was like, if you were going to be doing your 78th or 60th, what would you want said about you? I said, I should write it. I'm like, okay, all right. So on the plane, I was writing that, putting context. And when I met with him, I was like, this is what you need to do. Now you need to walk your way back to that journey. That person you saw at age 70, and everything you said is going to be, this is how you're going to get there. And one key thing I took away from it was like, it's being don't overanalyze. He said, fail fast, fail forward. I'm like, why is he using the word fail? But then in Richardson, I was like, yes, do not be afraid of the mistakes you're going to make along the way. What's the worst thing? You're going to fail. Dust it up, stand up, and keep going. So, yeah. Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah, no. Wonderful story about commitment and, what you can get from it. So also, as we wrap up here, everything beautiful always has its challenges. And perhaps you just touch on the challenge you had in the program. But what can we offer to the upcoming mentees in terms of challenges? What can they be proactive in thinking about and just making the most of the program?
Yeah, so it's a 6-month windows, right? A 6 months window. It's important for you to know that the folks you're dealing with, their lives are too busy already. So for them to be giving of themselves and their time, it means the value of the program. It's up to you what you take out of it, meaning you have to work in their own time zone, meaning what time works for them. Not necessarily, you might also be very busy. I was super busy at the time as a consultant, in between dealing with, writing RFPs, chasing leads, managing projects and things like that. I'm like, if I wanted it so bad, the 6 months window for me to get the most out of this very experienced leader who could potentially make my, journey better, I have to, one, define what I want from it. It's not a conversation where you're saying, oh, I don't know what I want to be, you have to be clear. They're only there to kind of provide insight based on their own experiences and what they think, could help you in their journey based on the lessons from their own. So be clear as to what you want out of it. Adjust your time to fit their own busy schedule, and you have to make sacrifices. If you think the virtual experience doesn't work for you, try to kind of find some middle ground on how you can make the experience better for you. Some leaders might be willing to come to you, but oftentimes you might, have to kind of, dip into your pocket to make sure that you, like, especially if they're far away from you, to have that in-person experience with them. And I don't know if you have some insight from your own experience as well.
Yeah, I think you really hit on it. I think what I learned, particularly about GLP, was that most people are very busy personal career lives. Most of us are both ways. And the ability to be flexible, to flex, and really to open yourself to what you can learn and gain from the opportunity. I think you get in it what you put in it, right? Yeah. So you have to really be committed and put in the work. I also believe in reverse mentoring. So even when I was a mentor, I felt like I learned so much from my mentee because I was very also intentional on I can learn from my mentee, and this should be a two-way partnership. And going into it with that mindset has always proven to be quite beneficial to me.
Good. I'm wondering if folks in the audience have questions, or the current set of cohort have one or two questions for us. We should be able to take that, right, Mary?
Yeah, I think we have time for one.
Okay.
Question, if any.
Okay.
I think we did such a good job.
I know.
You answered all the questions.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mary and Benga, for that. I'm sure folks here in person and also virtual got one or two things from the experience sharing. So right now, I'm going to go into the segment where we present the 2024 global leaders and also the mentees. So we're fortunate to have 4 global leaders this year that will be mentoring the next cohort starting January through June of 2024. And before I introduce our mentors and the mentees, I would just like to talk a little bit about what the process looks like, the selection process. Because I'm sure folks might be wondering, how can I get into this program? So it's on two sides. There's a selection process for the mentors, and then there's a selection process for the mentees. For the mentors, most of the time, it's usually from referrals, from folks that have been mentors on the program themselves. And also, we do reach out to people after doing some kind of background check, just to check them out and to make sure they kind of like cross all the T's and dot all the I's based on our home criteria. But one key criteria really is that they have to be Christians, because this is a faith-based program. So that's one thing that it's very critical to us. On the mentee side, there's actually a more structured process that we go through. It's a very competitive process to get into the program. And frankly, what we're trying to do is to figure out if the program is right for the candidate at that particular point in their career. So I know a lot of people has applied for this program. We've received, if you recall from the slide that I showed earlier on, we've had hundreds of people apply to this program, but only 25 people have been accepted over the past, I would say, 6 years. The people that were rejected is not necessarily because you're not, you don't have the qualities that we're looking for. It's just that based on the panel assessment, they feel that the program is not right for you at that point in your career. So I would encourage people, to continue to apply for the program if they would like to tap into this opportunity as you build on those leadership skills. Having said that, I would like to present the 4 global leaders to you, starting with Mrs. Coco Kumalo, who is online. She's on the Zoom call this morning. And Ms. Coco, can we have the slide switch, please? So Ms. Coco Kumalo is the Chief Executive Officer and founding partner of Motlanalo Incorporated, which is a majority African Black women-owned South African audit and accounting professional services firm. Prior to her current role, she was a partner at Ernst & Young in Africa, where she was the African leader for the risk management, and she served in the executive committees for both South Africa and Africa region at large. And prior to her role at EY, she was also a partner at PwC, where she held various leadership positions, including the managing partner of PwC's operations in Pumalanga and Limpopo. She was also a member of the PwC Governing Board and the Southern African Executive Committee, where she was the first female to be appointed in that role. Earlier in her career, she worked with the South African Breweries and Standard Bank of South Africa. She's a passionate South African who also served on various strategic committees that guide the national policy formulation, which include the Presidential Committee on Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment and Limpopo Premier Advisory Council and co-chair. I would like you to all join me to welcome Ms. Coco to the GLP. Second on the list is Mrs. Catherine Brock. I call her Kate, and she's here in person with us in Washington, D.C., or Maryland. And Kate is a partner within Guidehouse Banking, Insurance, and Capital Market Practice, a leading global consulting firm. She has been in the consulting industry for over 20 years, advising banks, non-bank lenders, services, private equity companies, hedge funds, large technology companies and fintechs, and also government-sponsored enterprises. She specializes in providing solutions that help clients to transform their businesses, minimizing their risk, addressing regulatory requirements, and so on. And prior to her role in Guidehouse, she was a director at Navigant Consulting, also in Washington, D.C., advising banks and non-banks and fintechs to solve some of their complex challenges. Earlier in her career, she worked with Ernst & Young. Looks like we have a lot of Ernst & Young alums in the house, working in the audit practice, working with various financial services clients, both domestically in the US and also internationally. She's also the past president and served on the board of Women in Housing and Finance in Washington, D.C. She's also a recipient of the top 40 under 40 Women in Housing and Finance in the United States. And more recently, she was recognized as a global leader in the consulting in 2023 by the Consulting magazine. She has 2 lovely children and also a big sports fan. She's currently a coach in one of our kids' basketball team, and growing up, she was a state soccer champion. So join me in welcoming Kate to the Global Leadership Program. Our third on the list is Mr. Kunle Malomo, who is also here in person with us here in Maryland. Kunle Malomo is the founder of MSY Analytics Group and People Productivity Solutions, a group holding company, and he serves on the Leadership Council of Great Place to Work. He also served as head of the Growth Implementation Solution Practice of the West Coast U.S. practice of Frost & Sullivan, and he led the firm's innovation consortium for the oil and gas industry. In the past, he was also the group CEO of Great Place to Work in Nigeria. Earlier in his career, Kunle worked as a strategy consultant for the Boston Consulting Group, where he focused on growth strategy engagements in technology and consumer electronics segments. And after that, he proceeded to work and lead the product development in the solution practice of Corporate Executive Board, that's the CEB, before the company was subsequently acquired by Gartner. He was selected as a global leader for tomorrow by the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and also recognized by Philadelphia Business Journal as one of its top 40 under 40 at that time. He also was a guest lecturer and often worked in evaluating student business plans in entrepreneurship in Africa course in Harvard University between 2015 to 2017. He completed his MBA at the Wharton Business School, University of Pennsylvania, where he won the Henry Morgenthau and Shields Zedman Fellowship and Whitney M. Young New Venture Competition. He holds a bachelor's in electrical engineering, and his focus is on telecommunication engineering. So join me in welcoming Mr. Malomo to the GLP. And the fourth on the list is Mrs. Ayofatoki Maji, who is also joining us virtually today. Mrs. Hayo is Executive Director at the African Leadership Institute in West Africa, a company which is a member of the Aspen Global Leadership Network. The ALI is the Pan-African initiative that is focused on investment and development of effective, value-based, and enlightened African leaders. And prior to her joining the ALI, she was the Chief Executive Officer at Energy and Industrial Integrated Services, where she was responsible for all the new business development and commercial operations for clients both in the private and the public sectors. She also worked with the VGO Group, where she rose to the position of the Chief Executive Officer of the oil and gas industry, and she was once a director in Data Tech Energy Services, where she mostly focused on international business development. She holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Lagos in Nigeria, and she's a member of the Nigerian Institute of Management and Nigerian Gas Association, respectively. And she also does facilitation and training programs, mostly focused on leadership and personal development. Please join me in welcoming Mrs. Ayofatoke Maji to the Global Leadership Program. So now I would go ahead to present the 4 successful candidates for the 2024 cohort for the Global Leadership Program. Thank you. On the far left-hand side is Zolile Shabalala, who is a Senior Manager in Marketing and Communication at Dubai Transport Corporation in South Africa. Congratulations to you, Zolile. Next is Adebayo Ogunleye, who is actually here in person with us, flew all the way from Canada to be here. Bayo is a database manager at Resulta in Halifax, Nova Scotia in Canada. And the third on the list is Josepha Indamira from Nairobi in Kenya. She's a Senior Director for Corporate Services at Trademark Africa. And the last but not the least is Chanda Chisenga, who is the Country Director of Restless Development in Zambia. Please, a round of applause for the candidates. So one of the things we also do at the GLP to make sure at least we've done our best in ensuring the mentees get the best out of the program is we do what we call a matching. And there's actually a little bit of science to matching these candidates because we want to make sure, when they go into this 6-month program, from a personality and background perspective, there's some kind of connection that's kind of enhanced the process to go as smoothly as possible. So right now, I'll be matching the mentees with the mentors. And first on the list is Coco Kumalo, who will be the global leader for Zolile Shambalala. Thank you. And Zolile goals for the program is to improve our leadership qualities as she continues to focus on creating real impact in our workplace and community, and also to expand a network of leaders that can serve as a role model for her. Second on the list is Kate Rock, is matched with Josepha Indamira. And Josepha's goal is to grow our leadership network, but also to deepen our leadership skills as she continues to scale up our impact and influence in the continent. Next on the list is Kunle Malomo and Bayo Ogunleye. And Bayo's goals is to improve his strategic thinking, decision-making, conflict resolution, and team management skills, and also to expand his leadership, his network of leaders. And last on the list is Ayofatoke Maji, matched with Chanda Chisenga. And our goals is to increase our network of global leaders and also to deepen our strategic thinking skills to drive our transformation leadership journey. So in closing of the matching, I would just like to encourage the successful global the successful mentees. 6 months may seem like a long time, but it's actually very short. And as you've heard from Mary and Benga, you have to drive this whole thing. You know, you have to do your best. These are very, very busy executives. Interestingly, Benga had to fly over to Dubai to get what he wants. But you have to do your best to get what you want for this program. We've had tons of testimonials of how this program have really changed the direction of folks, and also accelerated, them in achieving their vision. So the ball is in your court. And also to the global leaders, I would like to say a big thank you. I know you guys are always busy. Kate, I know you, half of the time you're on the plane, same as Mr. Kunle. But I just want to say a big thank you for committing your time. It's a testament to your passion that you have for leadership, but also for mentoring. And I hope even beyond the 6 months that you've agreed to mentor those folks, the relationship can proceed from there. So at this junction, I would like to invite PT to come on stage to facilitate the fireside chat. Please, a round of applause for PT.
Thank you so much, Michael. It's okay. Yeah. As you can see, it takes a village. And there's no truer saying than that for our programs. It truly, truly takes a village. At this time, we're going to have what we call a fireside chat. I guess ours is going to be with a little bit of a twist. And that's because one of our global mentors, who is here today, Kunle Malomo, has to catch a flight. So he had a conflict, but he chose to come here first. And so please just give him a round of applause, because not everybody will do that. And we just want to say thank you so much for doing that for us and for making an appearance when you could have been in the air flying to a very important meeting that you had. So I'm just going to invite you first to come and share with us. So this is going to be a combination of global mentors who are here, and those who are not here have sent in recordings. And so we're going to sort of like kick it up a bit with a combination of these two. And so we're going to first of all start by inviting Kunle Malomo to come up and just share with us very briefly what the highlights of his leadership journey has been, and what has been the most defining moments. And after we hear from our global leader, we're going to then switch to a virtual a video, and we're going to hear from Coco, and then we'll come back, and Kate and I will take a seat here and continue with that, and then close out towards the end with our last coach, who is also virtual, Ayo. So that's the combination of our fireside chat. I think it should actually be more exciting than sitting through it all. So with that, I'd just like to welcome Kunle Malomo.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. It's a pleasure. And as she mentioned, I'm supposed to go catch a flight. In fact, I was watching my sister's graduation. She's graduating with a second doctorate at Duke University. So proud of her. So at least I'll go catch the after party. But it's a pleasure to be here and to hear of the so many wonderful things that the Global Leadership Program has done. And part of why I agreed to be part of the global leaders of the mentors is because other people have mentored me as well. And the mentoring they've given me has helped me in making a lot of career-defining decisions. And there are many, going back to the question from PT, I guess there are many points in my career that I would say have been very defining. But the most interesting one, as I try to reflect, is one that I did not even think would end up cascading into so many other things that have now helped define my career. And that was, I think I was 26, when I got accepted, fortunately got accepted to the Wharton School. And for my MBA program. And, I was an engineer before that, and then I became an artistic entrepreneur, and then decided I wanted to go to business school. And while we were there, I saw all these different clubs. There's the private equity club, the venture capital club, the energy club, then there was the Africa club. And they always had all these really big events. And, the Africa, I mean, the whole of my class was 700, I think there were 750 MBA students in the class of 2000. So we're a class of 1998 to 2000. And I think of those 750 or so, maybe 13 were Africans. So we're a very small group. And, but we decided we really wanted to have an impact. And so there was this Wharton Africa Economic Forum that we were told used to happen years before, and because of either lack of interest, lack of funding, it was abandoned. And I decided I'd been fortunate to be given an opportunity to attend that school. There were only 13 of us that were Africans there, and really of the 13, maybe only 4 came from Africa. The rest were already in school here in the US, either undergraduate or working. And so we decided to put together this Wharton Africa Economic Forum. We had to go raise money, we had to plan, we had to get a lot of participants. And I had to lead a number of people that really didn't think it could be done, because we're looking at all these other big clubs and big organizations that had pulled it off. And then we're also looking for full-time jobs, summer internships, trying to do well in a pretty tough school, right? That's a pretty tough numbers-driven school. And so this whole Africa Economic Club just, should not have been my priority, particularly given how much I was paying to also go to that school. And, but God just works in miraculous ways. And so the beauty of it is, as I worked with my team to start gathering different people's list of people that would participate, a number of them were just really very high-profile Africans. And the moment you'd get an opportunity to talk to them and they said yes, they'd come show up, you'd exchange emails, make plans for their flights, trains, all that protocol stuff. I now started building a lot of relationships with really very influential people, and saw that for every one of the senior African executives or leaders that said yes, they would come to this program, the team that I was leading to plan that program, their confidence started rising. And cut a long story short, we pulled off the program. It was very successful, and till today, that program is one of the biggest programs at the Wharton School. But what was very interesting is that the work I did there, and then fortunately I did a startup that was, that did well while I was in business school and got a lot of accolades in Fortune magazine and a few other places. And that was the basis for which I got nominated to become one of the global leaders for tomorrow in Davos, Switzerland. I was 28 when they announced that. So usually it's, 40 under, I think 100 people under 40. Most of them were almost 40. I was 28. I was like the second youngest person in that class. And I always say this, what's very interesting is when we went to Switzerland, I knew it was a little bit of a big deal. When I got there, I figured it was more of a big deal. But years later, I then realized how much of a big deal it was, just to the glory of God. I would say this particular part. So as they were calling our names, my last name is Malomo, and it's in alphabetical order. So the person they called before me came from China, a young man called Jack Ma. So M-A and M-A-L-O-M-O. So Jack was the person they called before me. And Jack, as you know, is chairman of Alibaba and God knows how many other things he is today. And so you can imagine me, 28-year-old from Africa, sitting there. And one of the most consequential life relationships that I built was also when I went there. So they sent us this big book. There'll be all kinds of, Bill Gates spends 4 or 5 days there a year. A lot of very, very influential people. I met Bill Clinton there for the first time in my life. Lots of big name people. But I was like, these people are so big, they're going to forget who you are. And so I went into the book and I picked 3 people that I wanted as my mentors. And one of them is Mark Benioff, the CEO of Salesforce. I met him, but, there were so many other people trying to talk to him. And then a lady called Joanna Rees, who was one of the first managing partners of venture capital firm in Silicon Valley. And a lot of people, including her, affectionately called, she called herself my American mom, And she just, we met and she just opened a whole lot of doors for me in Silicon Valley. Opened up, introduced a lot of people. And then when I got married, like a few years after that, we had a reception in this church. And she flew here for that event with her son. We made her a Nigerian attire. And years later, she told me she was now presenting and pitching for a big project. And she found out that some of the decision makers were Nigerian. So she dug up that picture with her in the African attire. And when she put it as the first slide of the presentation, everything she needed to get in that meeting, she got. So you just can never underestimate the power and value of any little leadership initiative put in your way. Just work on it as though your life depended on it. That's what I never thought that leading a school project at the Wharton School would help me get into the World Economic Forum and then get a mentor from there and a network that has been very helpful in so many things that I'm doing. And Joanna, till today, even now that I'm fortunate to be running a much bigger company as the chief executive officer, she's on my board. She's on the board. She's one person that I know I can go to and get advice from because she'll tell me as it is. She knew me as a 28-year-old on that train in Davos, and we've become family friends. And now I also then became a mentor to her son. And so the chain just continues. And so, I can't pinpoint any specific one, but that one was very pivotal and life-changing to me. And as I reflected on exactly how it started just saying we need to give Africa a voice at the Wharton School. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share that. One other thing I want to add, and maybe the mentee will get a chance to talk about it. I got a chance to meet my mentee in person, and he's in 2 weeks already, he's put so much into this. and he was sharing some testimonies already with me, which he might want to share by himself. So it's what you put into it, as Wenga said, that you get out of it. So thank you very much.
Thank you so, so much. That's what you call commitment, right? And, you know, one of the things that touched me about what you said was, you know, the fact that it was a daunting task, but you just went on with it and you just did not relent. And that's what got you to Davos, which, yes, it's a really big deal. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to ask that our second global mentor, that her video is shown, that's Coco. So let's just wait as they prepare to show it. Thank you.
Tobela, Dumelang. Hello, my name is Koko Tlori Mutlana Lukumalo, and I send you greetings from a very sunny South Africa. I'm honored to find myself in the company of great leaders such as yourselves at the Daniel Leadership Institute. Deeply honored to be part of this incredible leadership development program as a mentor, and look forward to contributing to our shared learning experiences. I'm inspired to be part of this collective of world-class leaders and work closely with my mentee to share my wisdom, life experiences, and heart-earned lessons as a professional, a wife, and a mother of 3. I'm sorry I cannot join you in person today. However, I'm delighted to have this opportunity to introduce myself in this video. I'm the Chief Executive Officer and Founding Director of Mutlanalu Chartered Accountants and Auditors Incorporated, a majority African Black women-owned audit, accounting, and professional services firm in South Africa. It is important for you to understand that in the South African context, as an African Black female born and raised in a very rural area of Limpopo, in the north of South Africa during a very dark period in our country's history, it was inconceivable that I could make it and become a qualified chartered accountant and a registered auditor, let alone be the leader of my own successful auditing practice, which now employs around 100 people. I've always held a deep-seated belief that I should do the things I'm most afraid of. Thanks to the support of my parents, I was taught that education is the path to freedom, especially for women, and key in creating a sustainable future for generations to come. When I look back and think of growing up in a deep, dusty rural village of Skukuni, I often recall the words of the village elders who said to me, "Education is your first husband." Thanks to the creation of this mindset from a young age and the support of my family, as well as the guidance of incredible mentors during my career, I'm here with you today to share my story. I attribute a large part of my success to mentors of all races and genders who supported me with care, consideration, respect, and taught me to do the same for others. Allow me to take you through some of the highlights in my leadership journey. I've had the privilege of serving as an executive and partner in 2 of the Big 4 accounting firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers and Ernst & Young, where I also held various leadership roles. At PwC, I was a member of the governing board and the South African Executive Committee, being the first female in the history of the firm to be appointed in this role in Southern Africa. During my years at EY, I was honored to serve as an executive and partner as the leader of risk management in Sub-Saharan Africa and government and public sector leader for South Africa. I also chaired various governance and leadership committees at EY. Having participated in organized business structures in South Africa, Black Management Forum and Black Business Council at leadership role, where we were voted into office, this contributed a lot in understanding not only the professional landscape in South Africa, but how one needs to contribute first to the country in policy making and shaping and having the future that we all desire to have as South Africans, especially majority Africans. I'm currently serving as non-executive director and a board member of Bidvest Limited, one of South Africa's leading public listed companies. I'm truly honored to continue playing a small role in building a sustainable economy for the country's greater economic inclusion and prosperity for all. Having served in the committees I've shared with you in both professional services firm and organized business structures, and today I still serve in the NEPAD Business Foundation. Thank you for listening to my story. It is simply the story of a young girl from a rural area in South Africa with big dreams and a fire in her spirit. A girl who ignored the environment that was designed to exclude her and show the world what she had to offer. But she did it anyway. I hope that I can bring some of my passion for transformative change to our conversations and look forward to participating in this program and mentoring Olile Shabalala. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Coco Kumalo. That was a really inspiring story about her journey from a rural village in South Africa to being a CEO of her own company. And I think there's a lot that we can learn even through that process. But I'm going to first of all invite Kate to join me here as we continue this chat. And also, yeah, please feel free to sit wherever. And also, yeah, thank you. Also, our global leader, Kunle Malamo, says he can stay some extra minutes. So we're privileged to have him continue with us. So please come join us right up here. So I just want to say thanks again to our global mentors who made it here, and also those who are virtual, because I know your heart is here as well. And I mean, we've already heard so many interesting comments already that I feel full, right? And I was saying that Coco's journey from the rural village to CEO, and that's another show of determination and grit and wanting to make sure that you succeed, and these are some of the lessons that all of us need to be reminded of or to learn as we continue our leadership journey. I also just wanted to ask you, Kate, that do you have any defining moments that you would also like to share? Because these defining moment stories are really hitting some really hot spots in each of us, and I think it would be nice to hear from you as well.
Sure, absolutely. Is it working? There we go. Good morning, everyone. Just first of all, thank you for allowing me to participate in the program this year. Very excited to be a part of it. I guess when I reflected on my leadership journey, the moments that stood out to me were ones that involved leading my team through crisis. And so I've had two that I have gone through in my career to date. Hopefully that's it, but we will see. And so the first was when I was working at Navigant. It was at the onset of the 2008 financial crisis. And as you can imagine, it was a very challenging time. Our work slowed tremendously. And as a result, unfortunately, the company had to make some decisions about laying off some of my colleagues. So it was a very hard time. And we saw, as I said, our work slow. And my practice actually shrunk to a team of 5. Michael, you would know, Chris, Brad, and me were 3 of the 5 who we continue to work together today. But we shrunk pretty significantly. And so there were some challenging months there. And I guess what let us get through that is we, of course, persevered. When there is that opportunity, you seize it. But there was an opportunity for an engagement that we really went after, and we ended up winning. I'll share a little bit about that here in a second. But it ultimately allowed our team to not only kind of survive during that time, but grow. And what was happening across the United States is that there were many foreclosures happening, so people were losing their homes. And so the government went in and did a review of all the largest mortgage servicers across the United States and did not like what they saw. So entered into consent orders with them and made them update many components of their operations, but then also to hire an independent consultant to come in and perform a review of all of the activities they were taking that were leading to those foreclosures, and I guess assess whether or not the actions they were taking were in compliance with federal law, state law, and investor guidelines. So we happened to win. Again, all the hard work that went in to win that first one. We actually ended up winning 4 of the 14 across the country. So we were this small team of 5, and of course a lot of work had to go in to execute this work. We of course partnered with many of our colleagues across the company to execute it, brought on other resources as well. And so it was one of that, winning the first that led to many others that allowed us to continue to grow. More recently, of course, is the COVID-19 pandemic. A little bit different situation. We were performing well, I think, as we entered 2020. Maybe it was a little bit slower than we would have wanted as we started the year. And then the pandemic hit. And so everybody was a little uncertain of what that future would hold for us. But we had been working with a client for a number of years, so had a strong relationship with them. And when we combine that with our knowledge of small business and the ability to really stand up and execute large programs quickly, it allowed us to get in there and support them with their Paycheck Protection Program. And that was a government run through the partnership of financial institutions to get fund to some of the small business owners across the United States. So we again won this first one. We ended up winning many other PPP-related engagements as well. And that provided our team, again, with the ability to not only survive during that time, but thrive. And so I do think it's about seizing, I guess, identifying those opportunities and seizing them. A lot of work went in to get the first, but once we got the first, it was easier to get the others. And I think it allowed our team to not only work on issues that were kind of at the forefront of our industry, it's what all the headlines were about, but it allowed them, the length of those engagements allowed them to work on a variety of different things during that time. And again, the opportunity for our teams to grow even when there was challenging times occurring throughout the country.
Thank you so much, Kate. I mean, that sounds very traumatic. In fact, the 2 instances sound very traumatic, and I'm sure that snippet that you gave us doesn't capture fully the extent of, well, trauma and engagements that were needed to make sure that things were turned around. But one thing that you said was seizing the opportunity. We have to make sure that we seize the opportunity, and we are there for the long haul. It just can't be, happy today, sad tomorrow. We just have to go for it. That definitely is an interesting aspect of it. I just want to move on, and I think I'm going to move on to our global leader, Kunle, on my right side. And what I wanted to talk about is something that we don't hear too often from leaders, and we hear about the challenges that they have, but we don't hear about failures that they may have had. And because so people know that, it is possible to fail and still get to the top. So I just wanted you to share with us any failure that still keeps you awake at night and how you were able to navigate through that process.
Yeah, thanks so much for that question. There's one I always just like going back to. I don't know if I can characterize it as a really very big failure, but at the time it happened, it was for me, and I think I shared it with my mentee when we started speaking. And it's one of the things that actually ended up driving how I think about the business that I'm fortunate to help run today, which is about listening and learning. So, Kate, you can relate to this. I don't want to name names, but I used to work in a consulting firm where we used to work like really crazy hours every week. I don't want to name names, but you saw my bio and you can probably figure it out. And honestly, that's the one company, firm where I learned the most in my career till date. But it was just the culture, and that whole working 80, 100 hours a week was just not for me. And my daughter was born the month I joined that firm. And in my whole career, maybe only 20% of the time has been in corporate America. So everything else has been entrepreneurial. And so I worked in that firm, really traveling all the time, crazy hours. We're being billed, the bill rate was like almost $1,000 an hour per consultant. So you had to show your value. And so when I decided that was no longer for me, I got headhunted away to this other firm where the culture was very 9 to 5. In fact, it was more like 9 to 3, to be very fair. And that's because their business model was different. They were selling subscriptions, and they would sell 80% of their subscriptions in one quarter and just renew. So it was a very chill environment. But I had been indoctrinated by where I was working before, and the whole 9 to 3 wasn't going to work for me. It had to be 9 to 7. When I'm on the train on the way home, emailing team members, get this done. And so when my first performance review came, my manager said, you guys, in terms of the products you are supposed to build, you exceeded it by 105%. But using an African adage, he said, I will translate. He said, you used your team like rainwater. Anybody that understands, like rainwater, you can use it for so many things, washing, cleaning, drinking. And there's like your whole team is going to quit if this continues, because they do not understand why they have to work this hard when that's not the culture of the organization. But I was so used to working very intense hours and very short deadlines. So, and my boss said, well, rather than you lose your team, maybe if this doesn't change, we have to find you another opportunity that best works for you in the organization. So I was humbled, and I would say failed, because that part of my performance review was, essentially probably the lowest score. But it was only actually 12% of the overall weight. So I actually ended up with a higher overall score. But that 12% really kept me, because these are the people you work with every day. So I decided to do something. I said, I have to listen to them directly, one by one. So I called them in, and the first person I spoke to, I was shocked what he said. He said, I have no problem with the amount of work that you give for us to do. My problem is you seem to know a lot about this field, but you do not teach us. You do not spend time transferring the knowledge. You just say, here's the outcome. And he wants to go to business school. He wants to be able to write essays about his experience, and I'm not giving him that opportunity. That hits me like a rock. The next one was, she said, you know, this is a young team. We don't celebrate, but we only celebrate wins with clients, and you pretty much get where that is going. So I decided, okay, we're going to do 9 to 3, so to speak. We'll be in the office till 5. There's one burrito place across the office. We'll go there, out of pocket, I'd pay. We started doing birthdays, celebrations on the team, and I listened. The people that wanted to go to grad school, there were 4 of them. I helped them with their applications. So I would not forget this when the next performance review came out. Literally, this is a quote from my boss, because he knows I'm African. He said, I'm looking at the improvement in your management score here, and it seems you use some African voodoo on this team, because he has never seen someone score so low on that dimension and score so high in the very next cycle. That usually it just takes years to fix that kind of thing. But all I did was I listened and I learned from the people that I was working with. Until today, no matter how senior I am in anybody that has worked with me, they know the first thing I do is I listen. And then I learn from listening. So that's the one thing I'll take away.
Thank you so much. That really is an interesting story, listening. Thank you. And leadership is about people. It's not about the building. It's not about the decor. It's really about the people. And if we can get the people on our side, I mean, you're halfway through with whatever work battle that you have. So I'm going to ask you, Kate, the same question. And then immediately afterwards, we're going to hear from Ayo, who is listening from Nigeria. And we're going to listen to her recording where she talks about what keeps her going, what motivates her. And so she's going to answer that question. But before that video, I want to hear from Kate as well. What interesting failures have you had?
No, thank you. And I know you mentioned the word challenges as you were asking the question initially. And I do think I try to shift my mind when people talk about failure. And I think we all experience it, but I try to look through it as the lens of various challenges that you are overcoming. And as you start down that journey, you might not be as successful as you want to be the first time you're trying them out. And I guess for me, and I look at my career and what's important as I have progressed, you start as your consultant and you're executing the work, but as you grow and develop in your career, a lot of it becomes around the sales and the business development aspect of it. And so that is something that perhaps did not come natural to me, and something that I had to continue to work to improve upon over my career. And I'm sure I will continue to do so throughout the rest of my time. And so I think about things that, okay, what have I learned? So maybe I thought I'd say lessons learned as I figured out how to get better at this, and certainly not an expert, or I mean, I guess I hope I'm doing a good job, but I'm sure an area that I can continue to get better on. But some of the things that I've learned and try to focus on that are specific to the sales and development area, but I also think can be applied in other areas as well, is being disciplined in what you are doing, making sure that you have a plan and there is structure around what you are trying to accomplish. So you always have that to come back to as you're making progress, because you can easily get distracted. We mentioned earlier that everyone has a lot of different things going on in their lives, so making sure that you maintain that discipline. I think another one is the networking. I think that's been a topic of conversation this morning as well. And so I think it's important, and something that I talk to my team about, even at the consultant level, is what is going to be the process that works best for you to develop that network over time, because you do need to be intentional about it, and make sure that you're maintaining the relationships that you do have, but that you also are working to kind of grow that and build new relationships over time. And I think, as I said, that looks different for everyone, but what is that going to look like for you? I heard a woman speaking one time and thought it was interesting. She said that she complimented a lot that she's a good networker, and she never viewed herself that way. But what she did is every time she thought of someone, she just gave them a call. So I thought that was really interesting. Maybe that's not my path, but something I've thought of doing and have done in some cases. But it worked well for her, and now she's another executive in the government organization running one of the large agencies today. So building and maintaining that network is, of course, important. I think the market profile, so that is out there, and speaking at conferences and writing articles, you really need to have that subject matter expert knowledge. But networking as well, and it was in my bio, was participating in Women in Housing and Finance. So how are you going to take advantage and give back to various organizations that are of interest to you? And so I had the opportunity to, as it showed, ultimately be president of the organization, but it was an organization that was a combination of leaders across the government working on policy decisions in housing and finance. It was the executives at financial institutions who are working to implement some of those decisions. So some interesting debate there. The lawyers, the consultants, and I guess I should say the researchers that were impacting some of those policy decisions. So that organization gave me a great opportunity for networking, education, and the programs that we rolled out, and then of course the leadership opportunities that it presented. And maybe two other key points: get uncomfortable. I think there's a saying that if you are comfortable, you're not growing. So that's something I always try to keep in mind, especially as I get uncomfortable, is that I say, okay, well, this means you're doing something new, you're growing, you're learning a new skill set, and it actually helps me kind of lean in a little bit more, as I know that that's going to be an opportunity for me to grow. And then I think be action-oriented. That goes back to seizing those opportunities.
Thank you so much. I like the aspect about the discipline, networking, be uncomfortable. I especially like, because when you're uncomfortable, you're learning, and that's something I think all of us should take away with us. And you've given us so many nuggets actually that actually responded to my final question. But we'll listen to Ayo now tell us about what keeps her going, what motivates her to stay in the leadership space.
So leadership is great, and it is work. It is hard work indeed. But at the end of the day, results make every action, every decision worthwhile. We see the difference between a country that is run by good leadership and that which isn't. We can see the difference between organizations that are being managed by great leaders and those that are not. Even in the family, bringing it down to the family, there is a great difference between families where parents have shown great, authentic leadership and families where, parents are just saying, do as I say, and not necessarily, do as I do. So leadership indeed is great work. It comes from investing time, having conviction, and just pursuing the ideals you have set as a benchmark, pushing for results. So for me, what keeps me motivated about where I lead or the way I lead is actually the conviction. I really believe in what I do. I believe in goals that I've set for myself. I trust the outcomes, that they're going to bring great impact, that it's meaningful work that I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of purposeful work, and doing them right and achieving the outcomes I've set out for myself would definitely push or move the needle in the right direction. So how do I keep myself motivated? Yes, I put my passion in. I make sure there's an alignment between what I'm doing and what I believe in. I make sure that I set my eyes on the goals as I've laid them out for myself. How do I make sure that I am able to, at the end of the day, take the points, and I've delivered on what I've set out for myself to achieve. I also believe in learning, continuous learning. For one, I don't even believe that I know enough. There's always room to learn. I'm always seeing new innovations around me, people doing things differently, and the kind of results that people are able to achieve doing different things just shows me there's so much that I can learn from people younger, older, in the same sector, even outside of my sector. Like it said, there's really nothing new. There are things that we can appropriate or learn from other sectors and bring it to the work we are doing. So I believe in continuous learning, both formally and informally. I believe in keeping myself around people who are motivated, people who are goal-oriented. Show me your friends, the saying goes. So I believe in staying around people who are focused, and I actually do learn a lot from such. I also believe in thinking positively. There's nothing that can be done. Yes, maybe a few sleepless nights, keeping at it, looking for results in the right places, looking for help in the right places, surrounding myself with people who share the same vision and passion as I do. Just thinking positively, yes, that we can crack this one, and putting our energy behind it, and of course our prayers behind it. Is not enough to the work is not the only thing that will deliver the results. It's also praying that our efforts are justly and duly and timely rewarded. I believe also in pushing myself out of my comfort zone. If I'm working within my comfort zone, I'm not learning anything new, I'm not adding value to the work I'm doing. So getting myself out of my comfort zone. I also like being around younger people. I enjoy their perspective to things. So just seeing things through a new or fresh pair of eyes is also keeps me motivated.
Thank you to our global mentor, Ayo, calling from Nigeria. The video is, she recorded it in Nigeria. So we had some very similar things about getting uncomfortable. We heard about, but one thing that I did hear was actually enjoy the journey. And I think that's really important as well. We need to make sure we're enjoying this leadership journey. And I'm just going to ask, we're like 10 minutes to the end, but as we wrap up this, Kate, you've given us so many nuggets, so I'm not going to ask you, but I am going to ask Kunle, what's the one advice from his own end that he would give to aspiring managers or managers aspiring to be in an executive role?
Yeah, there's so many, but I want to focus on one thing, and I learned some of this during COVID. It's we're in December now. Everybody's making New Year resolutions, personally and professionally for next year. It's as part of those resolutions, just always ask yourself, whether you're an executive or a manager or a contributor, what is the one specific, measurable new skill you're going to acquire in that coming year? And what's it going to do for you? When COVID hit, in 2019, I flew 256,000 miles before COVID. 68, I took off and landed 68 times. I was looking at it on my United 1K, and then for 4 years, I've not been on an international flight. I'm going to take the next one next week. And during that time, I just used it to learn new things. And the most important thing I learned during that time, I think I'll share with our dear pastor, is digital marketing. I didn't know how it was going to transform our industry, our space. A lot of salespeople just became obsolete because they couldn't go to visit clients. And everybody was selling digitally. So ask yourself, what is the one specific new skill that you like? So I took this course at Kellogg on digital marketing. And one thing I'll take away from it is, you know the story of the 3 little pigs, right, that we all read growing up. He said, in today's world, if they're rewriting that story, right, of the 3 little pigs, you know, one of the pigs will have a blog. The wolf will have, you know, a YouTube channel on how to catch pigs. You know, so think about that story and how it relates to the world in which we live today. So I would say pick one specific skill per year. Coursera. There's so many of these online tools that cost nothing, like $15 for a course for 2 weeks, you know, and then add it to your repertoire and then figure out how that skill contributes to the overall trajectory of your career. That's all I would suggest.
Wow, that's great. You actually stole my thunder. But thank you so much. And I said that because we're closing out the panel discussion, the fireside chat, but I want us to take that question for just 1 minute. I want you to talk amongst those that are on your table, 1 minute exact, and say when you walk out of this place today, what's that one thing you're going to do to advance your leadership journey? Just 1 minute, and we'll use that time to go back to our seats here. And I just want to say thank you so much. We've been blessed with so many nuggets. Your experiences have made it possible for us to think differently about our leadership journey. And I just say thank you so much to Kate, to Kunle, to Coco, and Ayo, who are virtual. We really, really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have 30 seconds left to just think through that. Thank you. Yeah, so 30 seconds left just to say what's that one thing as you walk out today that you will be doing to advance your leadership journey. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to stop us there. And is there a bold leader willing to share that one thing? A bold leader? Someone from the audience? Someone? Oh, thank you. Yes, please come forward. Yes. Yes. You have to be very bold in these days. Yeah, so introduce.
So my name is Edith Umola. A volunteer for DLI. I found the stories powerful, and I thought as a leader, I want to listen more. And I'm taking that into next year, to truly listen, to understand, not listen to respond. Thank you.
Please give her a round of applause. To listen more. I think we can all do with listening more. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to say that Edith is someone who has been supporting the Daniel Leadership Institute for like 10 years, either as a mentor or, you know, the selection process, a coach, a facilitator. And so we want to say thank you so much, Edith, for all you do for the Daniel Leadership Institute. At this time, I'm just going to call on Dapo if he's around. Is Dapo around? Ew. Here he is. And he's just going to tell you a little bit of the other programs that we have in JesusHouse DC that you can benefit from. So,
Thank you very much, PT. Charles Adams once states that no one ever attains very eminent success by simply doing what is required of him. It is the amount and excellence of what is over and beyond the required that determines the greatness of ultimate distinction. This body of Christ believes in restoring hope and maximizing potentials. In light of that, there are several ministries that we have here at Jesus House that are focused on bringing out the excellence in the individuals and helping to restore hope and maximizing potentials. One of them is our career and skill development ministry. It's one of the 4 professional and leadership ministries within our body of Christ. And this particular ministry is committed to network, to providing practical assistance to individuals with employment-related needs and challenges, and also providing resources to empower individuals to secure and maintain employment and excel in their careers. As you can tell, our body of Christ has significant number of resources, individuals in high-level positions, and we tend to leverage on that to provide additional skill development and career enhancement to the body of Christ. The second professional leadership ministry is our Business Leadership Connect. It's a network of business owners, leaders, and aspiring leaders that always come together to share their spiritual and business and leadership principles that helps them to enhance their business and management skills. This particular ministry has helped significant number of individuals to develop, to transform their ideas into a business empires. The next ministry, the third one on the list, is our infamous Haggai Business Network. This particular ministry HBN facilitates networking forum, seminars, workshops, and training sessions for JesusHouse DC Christian business owners, investors that are within our congregation, and also aspiring entrepreneurs and established entrepreneurs. This ministry does all these functions by leading industry professionals and bringing in individuals that provide valuable and relevant business and financial knowledge. And this is in an effort to continue to empower our members and help them to bring their business out of their basements to the forefront of the world. The last one, of course, one that we're all here to learn more about, is our Daniel Leadership Institute. DLI is a collection of faith-based mentoring and leadership training programs. And these programs are all designed to develop leaders that will influence their world. At this point, I have the privilege to introduce to you a healthcare professional, a doctor of physical therapy, a leader in all respects, our spiritual father, the senior pastor of JesusHouse DC. Help me to welcome our own senior pastor, Olumide Ogujuigbe. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the different aspects of the world. My role here is to give the closing remark, and I just sat there, and all I could do was just to thank God for the inspiration and the idea to bring this forth. This idea started in 2005 by Pastor Tolu, when she spoke to our former senior pastor in person of Pastor Gandhi about the idea to bring, be a mentor to the young professionals that we have in the church. And she shared the vision, and I'm so thankful that the vision has grown from that little idea, beyond the four corners of the walls of Jesus House DC today. Our vision as a church is to maximize God's potential in everyone that steps into this church, to restore their hope and to maximize their potential for simple reason, to glorify the mission of our Lord Jesus Christ. I sat there, and right from the inception, when Brother Femi came up here, and she spoke about the GLP program, that the mentors that are chosen, that they make sure that they are people of faith, not just ordinary, people who are successful in their pathway or career pathway. I sat there and just to appreciate God, that we may not be able to tell people, open your Bibles to the book of Mark chapter 1, but we are still able to preach the gospel to people beyond the four corners of JesusHouse DC. For that, I'm very, very grateful. Thank you very much, Kate. I believe we will partner one way or the other to still be mentors in the part of basketball coach. Basketball is my favorite sport as well, and also a successful soccer player. Soccer is my first major sport as well. So thank you very much. And I use you as a point of reference for all the other mentors as well. Just my voice of advice for the partners, concluding with what Barakunle said before he left here, that it's important for us as leaders also, as busy as we are, to also aspire to grow. He said something about listening. Listening is a key factor. I'm a beneficiary of that. I was sharing an example with him even before we started here. I had a meeting with some of our groups in the church about a little challenge that I feel we have to improve upon. And somebody just made a simple statement. And out of that simple statement, it has helped to come to the full diagnosis of what the problem is. Simply by listening and praying to God, idea came about how to bring a resolution to that. So it's a key ingredient for every leader, that the moment you feel you are not growing or you don't need to learn something new, then it means you are not ready to grow again. So it's very important for you as mentees, please, let this relationship with your mentors be a symbiotic relationship, whereby you are not just going there to pour into them, but you are going at the end of 6 months also to learn something that will spur you higher in your relationship as well. And to the mentee, I want to charge you, please don't make the 6 months relationship to be just about 6 months. Let it be impactful, that out of what you get out of it will be out of what you put into it. That what you get out of the relationship is a function of what you are willing to put into it. I was very impressed with what Brother Gbenga said, that he had to buy the ticket to fly to Dubai simply because of the value that he felt he would get out of it. So the same charge I want to give to all the mentees as well, that please put into it and let the relationship not just be for 6 months. Let it be something that will transpire for years to come, for years to come. And don't go into it with the mindset of what you want to get from your mentor, but also what values that you want to contribute to the life and the professional pathway of your mentors as well. And as we do that, we are building together this community. The whole world is a community now. I heard what you said, Brother Michael, about how you pair the mentors and the mentee. The lady from Kenya, her main goal was to meet people in the higher places. I don't know whether she ever stepped her feet into the soul of America, but how you paired her with Kate. And I'm trusting that through her relationship with Kate, one day she will step her feet into America. And not only that, she will grow higher with that. And the only reason and the platform by which that is happening is simply because of DLI, which is birthed out of JesusHouse DC. That is what restoring hope and maximizing potential for the mission of God is all about. And I'm thankful that through DLI, JesusHouse indeed is living its vision. And for every one of you that God has put in position to be able to do this, my prayer for you is very simple, that as you use your time, your skill, your talent, out of your own busy schedule to sow into the life of other people, the dividend may not come directly to you, but it may be in terms of your children and children's generation to come, that they will see some good things happening in their lives, and the only thing they will be able to tailor it to is because my dad, my mom, my uncle, my aunt invested in the life of other people. That is the kind of God that we serve. It's not an unjust God. So you may be doing it now. The dividend may not come directly to you, but it may be your own children and your children's children. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Pastor Olu. Real wise sayings that we heard there. Michael, please join me. We are coming to the end. We're actually at the end. And I just wanted to acknowledge all the, volunteers who have put effort into this work, into this day that we have experienced today. So if you can all come, Coin Sala, Maureen, Anthony, please come. All the DLIs, please come. Femi is somewhere, I don't know, yeah. Femi has not just been listening, he's been also working behind the scenes to make sure everything goes well. So thank you. So you can see that leadership for us is not a title. It's really who we are and who we want to continue to be. Is there anyone else? Oh, there's some people online as well. Okay, I'll hand that over to you.
Okay, yeah. So, PT, what you said, it takes a village, right? So I just want to say a big thank you to my colleagues. We also have some people online. Fumi is online. He's managing the folks that are joining via Zoom and other people streaming through YouTube. We couldn't have gotten this far if we don't have the support here. And for us, it's tough. We all have busy work life. 3/4 of the time in the year, I'm always in the hair somewhere. But somehow we still make it work. And I'd like to say a big thank you for all the effort, the commitment, and hopefully next year it will be better, following year it will be better, and so on and so forth. And thank you so much, PT, for your leadership. Sometimes it's tough, but then you gather the team together, you keep motivating us, you keep driving the ship, and we wouldn't be here if not for the leadership. And thank you so much for everything you've done.
Thank you so much. I just want to acknowledge 4 professionals in this church who actually had the idea, and they called me, invited me in, and this is where we are today. This is what God has done. So thank you so much to each of those professionals, of which one of them is here, like Dapo. He was, and Toyosi, and Michael, and who was the 4th? Tosin, yes, Tosin. And they've all gone and they're like occupying, senior roles in different parts of the world. So thank you to these 4 individuals who actually had the idea and then brought me in, and I spoke to the senior pastor about this. So thank you so much. Please feel free. There's still a lot of food, a lot of drink. Please feel free. Please network with each other. You heard network come up like 30 times. And I also want to say thank you to Jeannie. Jeannie, who I invited. She is Director of Pre-College Programs at the American University here in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for each and every one of you. Really appreciate you, and have a wonderful Sunday. Saturday is almost gone, so have a wonderful Sunday. Take care. Thanks. Bye.